The Binding of Isaac is a good example of how a simple game can be successful. You control your character using one set of arrow keys, and use another to fire your tears in the cardinal directions to defeat enemies. The game revolves around you, Isaac, journeying through the various floors of your basement in an attempt to find your mother. As you journey through the game, short cutscenes flesh out the relationship between Isaac and his mother. The setting and aesthetics of the game are quite creepy, which matches well with the repetitive deaths of the roguelike style game. The dungeons in Binding of Isaac are procedurally generated, providing lots of opportunity for replayability as you journey through the game, unlocking all of the characters and items to help you along your way. Each floor of the dungeon contains a key item you can pick up, which will change the aesthetic of your character and provide you with a stat bonus. This might be increased damage or range for your attacks, a familiar who follows you around and helps combat enemies, increased health, or an effect that will change your character's abilities entirely, such as a laser beam instead of the usual tears. The random nature of these power-ups makes each playthrough of Binding of Isaac unique, as you pick up the items in a different order. There are also tarot cards and pills you can collect, which have various effects that can help you along your way or hinder you. Each floor also contains a boss fight, at the end of which you will be treated to another item. The dungeons might also include a shop, a casino, arena sections, or hidden items that you can find as you traverse through the map. The Binding of Isaac is a very challenging game, and of all the hours I have played it, I have never made it to the final boss. Still, I find the game quite enjoyable, and every so often I go back to play a few rounds. The enemies in Binding of Isaac are varied and creepy. Some of them will pursue you, while others will avoid you. There are mini-bosses representing the 7 deadly sins, and mini-boss versions of the floor bosses. The game does a good job of not allowing you to become complacent. If you let your guard down, you can easily lose a run. Even something as simple as a fireplace will attack you, depending on the circumstance. There is also a variety of secret interactions between the items in the game. You can use bombs to defeat enemies, but you can also use them to remove debris or blow holes in the wall, allowing you to enter different rooms. You can even destroy rubble, which will fill holes in the ground, allowing you to walk over areas you previously could not. The secret areas in the game provide additional interactions between developer and player. You follow the trail of breadcrumbs left in order to find any advantage to help you progress through these strange and frightening dungeons. The additional unlockable characters provide a fresh take on the game and something to work towards. These characters have their own unique abilities, which changes the game entirely, and are often more challenging than playing as Isaac himself. I think that Binding of Isaac is a good example of choosing a theme and sticking to it. Although the graphics and the gameplay is not the most complicated in the world, it really works, and all the different aspects of the game do well to support each other. The music and visual style, the way that enemies can explode or lose their head or arms when you defeat them, all of these different interactions increase the creepy atmosphere of the game and the feeling of clawing your way through the different floors, a sense of desperation. The game feels like a dark version of an early Zelda game with dungeon crawling, the use of bombs, and collectible items. But whereas the Zelda map is set, Binding of Isaac is randomized. Each time you start the game, it is fresh and unique. The Binding of Isaac has numerous sequels and re-releases with different items, characters, maps, and bosses. Overall, I think it is a great example of a simple game done right, and I recommend playing it. Thank you for listening.